as such. As I mentioned, they made plenty of changes just this past offseason, starting with new head coach Robert Saleh. Former head coaches Brian Daboll and Gus Bradley are coordinators there, and the Titans made 2 first-round picks. They took wide receiver Carnell Tate with the 4th overall pick and edge rusher Keldrick Falk with the 31st. That is a lot of change, Hawk, in Tennessee. What are your expectations for this Titans team in Cam Ward's second season?
I love it. If Cam Ward in year 2 doesn't improve from year 1, you will not be able to say he didn't have the weapons. When I look at this receiving core, I see a receiving core that has every element that you want. I think Carnell Tate is a bona fide #1 receiver. It'll take him time to get there on the level of the National Football League, but can catch the ball deep. He plays incredibly fast, great after the catch, a technician. All the indicators that this is someone who played for Brian Hartline. Calvin Ridley played his best football as the #2 in Atlanta to Julio Jones. So I think what you get in him is a former #1 who now right-sizes his position on offense. And then Wan'Dale Robinson, who led his team in receiving, 1,000-yard receiver as your #3. Those are bona fide weapons for a young quarterback, and that's what you want. You want to be able to point to your team and say, did he have the firepower on the outside? That answer is yes in Tennessee.
Hawk, that Titans offense in the passing game in particular has to take flight. And I'm told the Titans are not overly concerned about some of Cam Ward's accuracy issues that he showed at OTAs. I'm told he cleaned that up during minicamp. He's going on his 3rd coordinator in just 2 years with Brian Daboll, but Daboll is a big proponent of Ward. And I talked to one person there in the building who said he's got too much talent as a thrower and he works too hard to not be able to overcome any sort of those obstacles. So they feel like they're in good hands there. Also on the contract front, Jeffrey Simmons got paid on the defensive line. But what about the offensive line? Peter Skoronski, he's eligible for a contract extension. That is a name that some people around the league are watching for that guard market to take that big spike eventually.
And that goes to keeping the group strong around Cam Ward, who finished his rookie season strong. 10 touchdown passes and just 1 interception across the final 8 games of last year.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny the NFL's not really prepared for Cam Ward to be great. They're really not. I've talked about this many times with various teams, various quarterbacks, and you know, various situations. But like it's exhausting. It's difficult for the media analyst, right? All this to add another great team, another great quarterback, cause it's just more you have to focus on. It's more you have to look at. And it's almost inconvenient and you just don't want it. You're like, no, let's just keep talking about Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes cause I know it. It's easy. I remember exactly what they did in their last playoff game. I remember exactly what happened in that last year. You don't have to think about anything else. You just know it. Immediately know what happened in 23. I remember. What happened in 25? I remember. You just know it. Just like that. Oh, 2021. Yep. Remember that game against the Eagles? Yep, I remember very vividly. Remember that game against the Chiefs? Yep, I remember very vividly. That 4th quarter? Yep, remember it. That throw? Yep, I remember it. And it's just like the notion that Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans actually enter the conversation of being a great team, great quarterback. And that's why I love what Hawk said. And this is why I was such a huge proponent of going offense in the draft, and I said that like, you want to make everything easy for Cam Ward. You want to give him everything he can. And at the very least, it'll be so much more simpler to evaluate what you have. But before I jump into it any further, please, Tennessee Titans fans, do not forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the video. When you guys do that, views go through the roof, subscribers go through the roof. It's not about chasing views, it's not about chasing subscribers, it's about being able to create Tennessee Titans content that people genuinely want to watch and discuss. So, we can keep having the most unbiased, grounded, honest conversations about the Tennessee Titans. It makes such a huge difference to watch the full length of the video, and I'll really appreciate it. But, yeah. This is a season of clarity for the Tennessee Titans. And when you're trying to evaluate your quarterback, when you had a young quarterback last season, and it was a mess of a roster, a mess of a coaching staff, right? All the problems, you just want to go all in supporting that situation, so you can figure out who your quarterback is right now. You don't want to have to try to figure out what can he overcome. What can how much how little do we need for him to be able to win? Where do we go from here? You want to be able to create a foundation, not only from an evaluation standpoint, cause you don't have to be like, well, this is what he was able to do, but we didn't really have, any receivers for him to work with, or he didn't really have the right coach. So, you don't want to have to play that song and dance. Not to mention, you need the talent around him to help him develop. To help him be able to work on the things that he needs to work on. Right? You want some experience around him and some young, ascending talent as well. So, to me, for the longest time, it's felt like we've had so many teams that have been circling the drain. They just can't improve. They just can't do it. They just can't do it. They just can't make that right decision. They make the hire where you're like, yeah, it's not the worst hire, but you're like, alright, is this really going to transform this organization? Right? Like, the draft, we're like, okay, I see where they're going. The free agency, you're kind of like, okay. You have a quarterback, and you're like, do you really think this quarterback's going to is this really going to be the quarterback that's going to be great for the next 10 plus years? Like, really? That's what you think. You think that's how this is all going to work out for you. Like, come on. And now it's like it feels like a lot of teams, and the Tennessee Titans included, are making moves that you can look straight into the camera, straight into the eyes of the fans, and be like, I love what you're doing. I love where you're at. I love what I got. You can feel great. You can be a fan and feel genuinely optimistic. You can feel actually good. And the problem is that someone like a Cam Ward, this might have said like, no one's really ready for this. Because no one's really when you're having these conversations, even myself, right? When I'm trying to figure out, what's the quarterback landscape? What's the NFL landscape? Who are we talking about? It's like no one's actually prepared for what if Cam Ward actually really is the true bona fide number one quarterback of that draft. Right? Like, the number one overall pick, right? Like, he is absolutely legit, consistently in the top 10 don't get too lost in the top 3, top 4, but just like consistently in that top 10 quarterback conversation, where you're like, yeah, he's a great quarterback. And yeah, sure, you're going to get fight over who's better. Like, no, it's Caleb Williams. No, it's Jaden Daniels. It's like, don't get lost in that. But just like, no, he's a great quarterback. Like, dude, he is legit. It's like, that's another team. That's another quarterback. Now the Tennessee Titans, that's another team that contends out in the AFC, right? Like that's another force to reckon with. Think about how many people wanted Caleb to be what Caleb, was not showing to be necessarily in 2024. And then they were really triple doubting on that. And then when things kind of took a turn, they're like, well, this is great. Caleb Williams, Chicago Bear. Like let's go, baby. And nobody talked about Caleb Williams and Tennessee Titans last year. Nobody. Nobody. And it would just be interesting to see how much momentum can the Titans get, and therefore can that starts to give people the feeling of, hey, this is something to hop on. This is something to emphasize. This is something that you can feel confident saying, I believe this team is good. I believe that this team can win the division. I believe this team can make a playoff run. Like, what will it take? And how deep into the season? And can they reach that? I mean, like we've had so many teams at this point. It's not even rare. I don't even know, like I once upon a time used to celebrate, man, this team was so terrible. Look what they were able to do, within 1 year. It's so common now. We got endless examples. The Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl. Okay. The Chicago Bears haven't done anything for like a million years. They were a play away from reaching the NFC Championship. The Patriots were an absolute joke. They got to the Super Bowl. The Broncos hadn't made the playoffs in 10 years. Bo Nix gets there, boom, makes the playoffs. Next year, boom, AFC Championship game. It's just like we're seeing this. The Houston Texans, nothing. They're perennial playoff team now. They've been nothing. Every single year they're in the playoffs. And you know, I'm not saying it's the prettiest, they get there. They get there. It's just like the Washington Commanders, literally a nothing franchise for like 20 or so years. Jay Daniels gets there, boom. NFC Championship game, blink of the eye. Like this stuff is just happening so quickly. So quickly. And so it's just like, yeah, man, who's to say that's not the Tennessee I mean, like I think it's totally realistic to look at the Tennessee Titans through like a Denver Broncos 2024 lens. Where it's just like imperfect, definitely plenty of not hardships, I don't know why I can't think of it. Growing pains in this team's in their trajectory. I don't know why I can't think of words right now. It is late. It is almost 2 o'clock in the morning. So, that's probably why. I'm about this life. I go hard. So, let's go Tennessee Titans. But lost my train of thought now. Patting myself on the back. But, yeah, I think 2024 Broncos make sense to me because the expectations weren't insane. It wasn't like this team's about to be a Super Bowl contender. Oh my God, like they were able to actually win some pretty fascinating games. They were able to contend. Even when they were contending, even if they lost, you still felt the energy, you still felt the momentum, you still felt that this team was going in the right direction. Yeah, they didn't win that in their first playoff game all on the road against the Buffalo Bills, but you saw the direction, you saw the trajectory. You saw what it was ultimately becoming and growing into. And to me, if I'm just looking for like a realistic expectation, that's the S, and again, these are just I always refer to them as frames. Frame around the picture just to kind of give you some sort of sense. They're not predictions, they're not floors, they're not ceilings. I don't feel the need to do that in this moment of time, but it's just like it's a gentle frame of reference. And that's to me is what I look at, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, Zach Wilson got to this. Or, look what the Patriots did their second year. With it's like I don't feel the need for that. And yeah, I mean, you got great coaching on both sides of the ball, you got the weapons, and that's why I'm glad Hawk put that out there. 'Cause again, this is something that I've been saying, and he's just pretty much like there's no reason not to see Cam Ward continue to improve and grow and have success. And if you're having success on offense, if you have a quarterback who can be successful, that means Brian Daboll is going to be successful as a coordinator. And if you're having success on offense, why am I supposed to believe that Robert Saleh is not going to be able to have a competent defense? Is it going to be as great? I expect this defense to be significantly better over the next couple of years, right? Once Robert Saleh can really do what he wants to do, expend the resources in free agency, draft, all of that. It's like so I'm not expecting him to work magic in year one, but I expect it to be significantly better. 'Cause like I just said before about how teams keep turning things around. We got way too many examples at this point of defenses that get turned around in a snap of the fingers. They bring in a new defensive coordinator, a defensive coach, and it's like literally in a blink of the eye you're like, this is a top 5 defense. And people now have to be there forced to familiarize themselves with names that they weren't before. They're like, who's this guy? Who's that guy? What's that? Where did he get him from? Wow. That's what happens. What happened with the Texans, what happened with the Seahawks, what happens with the Patriots, what happened with the Eagles. Every single there's just too many teams. The Chargers, the Chiefs, it's just endless examples of defenses literally becoming top 3, top 5 in a blink of the eye. So, it's just okay. It's all there for the Tennessee Titans. That's what's so great. It's an ultimate year of clarity. You're going to know where to go from here. You're going to have a great barometer of who you are. I have a similar take, although for different reasons, with the Carolina Panthers. It's all there. If they succeed, you can feel really comfortable and confident moving forward. Bryce Young. If they come up short and you have another kind of similar year to what you had and you're kind of what is Bryce Young doing? That's your answer. You know it. You have it all right there for you. It's not saying you have to win the Super Bowl. It's not saying you have to go undefeated. It's not to say that you have to take down every single great playoff team. No, but you should have a strong sense of clarity where you're at. How to move forward. And that's to me what the Tennessee Titans have created. And I think that's so important to do with a young up-and-coming quarterback. And that's how, again to kind of use the Broncos again, it's you saw what they decided to do year. They're hey, we actually have some good momentum. We think we're going to be able to take a step in year 2. They drafted a running back, nothing too crazy, but they really went all in on defense. They said, let's spend the money on defense free agency. Let's do it. And they didn't get the best year out of Bo Nick. It was the most complete year. Certainly not a bad year. A year that I'm okay with, but still plenty of room to grow with. And they're all right, we don't want any more excuses, right? We're changing our play caller. We're getting Jalen Waddle, right? We're making moves. We don't want to have another in-between year where we saw some great stuff, saw some bad stuff. Not sure. No, we're making sure that we have no excuses. No, nothing that we could say, yeah, he would be better if this, no. We're taking care of those things. We're checking those boxes off. That's our approach. That's how we do it. And that's in a lot of ways what the Tennessee Titans are doing right now. Where it's okay, we're getting clarity. That way, if you get that clarity, you get the most accurate, analysis. You get the most accurate, you can draw the most accurate conclusions. And that's so important to be able to know which direction to move in. And that's what was over these last couple of years with the Tennessee Titans. You're well, I don't know. Will Levis, well, I don't know. Malik Willis, well, I don't know. This coach, that coach, this coordinator. I don't know. We don't really have this. It's just how can you make any decisions? You're I don't know what the heck I'm dealing with. I don't know what I'm dealing with right now. How do I know which direction to go into? It's too much of a mess. And that's why it's just reaching a level of stability. So, that's to me what makes a team that has obviously been, 3-14 last season. Last year, there wasn't a whole lot to cheer about. There wasn't a whole lot to feel optimistic about. You could feel optimistic and encouraged about a Cam Ward, but it's not the easiest thing to do. I think it's going to be a lot easier this season to feel that way. So, that's what gets me all fired up and excited. But, those are just my thoughts. My deep late-night thoughts. I'd love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Tennessee Titans? Do you agree with Hawk and what I'm saying where at this point, there's no excuses? I know some people are concerned about the O-line and things of that nature, but I do think there's enough there. I'm really comfortable and confident in the coaching, receiving core. I do think there's enough there. Again, I'm not saying that I to see Cam Ward put up top 3 numbers here, but and I think Hawk phrases like be successful. I'm phrasing it as like showing continued growth. That's the way how I would phrase it more than anything, but let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and I actually love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help 6. Stability and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.